All right, up next we got Troy. Is it Troy Kinane? I'm probably saying that horribly wrong. From Dublin, I want to go visit there badly. I think it'd be a cool place to visit. Anyways, student environment artist. Looks like we got some substances and some scenes, Unity and Unreal, and the good old challenge that's going on in the Discord right now. All right, so right off the bat, this is a pretty interesting material. There's some crazy layering stuff going on here. Stylized cave floor texture. So normally I would say right off the bat that these like ripply patterns are usually a weird effect that probably shouldn't be going on. But cave materials and how they wear and how you see the sediment layers through that wear, this is basically the sediment layers. I think where it's a little strange is it needs to be more uniform in its range. So like where it's either dark or light, making them more mid-range to each other is going to help. So like where they're darker, making those a little bit lighter, and where they're light, making those a little bit darker. So kind of the detail is still there, and the definition separating those elements is still there, but they're closer to being in the same range and not fighting each other in that sense. The next thing I would say is this chippy look that you have going on here. In some areas is working really well for you, and other areas is looking like you're just kind of using your slope blur. Man, that slope blur, you're using it a little too strong. Like I think you're using a high frequency slope blur with I'm gonna just open designer here in a second. But yeah, I think you're just using it a little too intensely. Or without reason as to where it needs to go. Like right here, it feels really nice, but then it feels like it gets crazy here. This is almost like you could get away with this, I think, if you were in WoW and it was called like Dragon's Canyon and this was called Dragon's Mud. So it's kind of like the way that it dries and kind of melts in the water is very scaly. Put that there and people will think you knew exactly what you're doing, you know? Man, it's been a while since I've been in here, I tell you what. So like, that's going too crazy, right? And I'm using, like, when you use a high frequency noise like this, it's gonna get nuts. You're gonna want to like try and go into more of a softer range, and then scale wise, let's see here. Can you go? No, you can't. You mother. I mean, this isn't how you would. Oh, that's gonna bug me. I'm just doing it. It's not tiling, but it'll get the point across. Oh wow, you can't even. Oh, that's weird. So what I'm trying to do is a 2D transform to mess with the, there we go, mess with the scale. So you can see like high frequency versus lower frequency. So getting a higher frequency will give you those details that you're looking for without going like too sharp. And then doing min, I mean everyone knows when you do min it only cuts inward, and then max only cuts outwards. Well, to an extent. It's it's doing some weird things for sure. See, that blur is just kind of grabbing both of the values. Anywho, be careful with going too crazy with those types of details. Is scanning textures a skill you should have, or is it not really needed anymore because of Substance Designer? I think scanning textures is going hand in hand with Substance Designer and Quixel. It's completely okay to buy your textures as well. So this mud looks a little torn up. Like this feels like mud that's, like I need to know the story of this mud. You know what I mean? Like, is this in a construction site? Is that why it's so lumpy? And then like rain has like filtered into the lower points? And if that's the case, then like, then you would see footprints, you would see like tire tracks, Jurassic Park mud. I remember the mud. It still has stuff going on in it that doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, like I'm pretty sure that this, my gut reaction is this is just one color for the albedo. And it's just roughness information and normal and displacement. It definitely needs more like stuff happening in the mud. And then maybe some interactions between the water and the muds where they meet. And I love it when a material tells stories. Yeah, when materials tell stories, it's feels good, man. Like footprints running across, bullet shells, or bullet casings, shells, and like footprints, blood in the water, just stuff, things happening that tell me where this is at or what event is taking place on top of this mud. Although you know, I don't know. I don't have too much to say on this, just because I know you're making mud and it's got puddles. It just doesn't. It's generic right now. Yes, it is a mud material. It needs that detail that pushes it, you know? Oh, snap. Oh, that's cool. Hand-painted Unity game scene, 1 month project. So, careful with the seams. Of course, like, I guess you did a hand-painted tileable, and then that is tiled across this. Making sure to place those seams in a location where you're not going to see them, or you're propping over them so that those don't pop through, is going to be key. This thing here, this metal paneling stuff isn't bad. I think that's like when you have a rock. Where are we at here? Oh yes, hang on here. 2 seconds. When you have a rock that's on terrain like that, it needs to have like the ground. I'm doing this in the slowest way possible. It needs to have ground that slopes across it, if that makes sense. I wonder if I can just... Yeah, if we did that. Like when you have a rock that's in place, right? Oh man, I keep forgetting that we have T now. I can just use... So say this is your rock. You want it to look like it's in the ground, and the ground is affecting the rock. Right? Like that's pretty important. That, and it makes it have much more of an interesting look. Those transitions, super key. Super key. Oh, that's interesting too. Yeah, seeing these hard edges here, you're going to want to add like another set of smaller rocks just to break those up. Man, this tool is so nice. But you can see what I'm getting at. Oh. So much hacking going on here. Anyways, like those transitions are important. Get those looks and you'll have a scene that implies so much more detail just by the fact that there's a few props along that edge. All right. Let's see here. The other thing is concentrating on texture resolution. We always talk about texel density, and like it's really hard to explain sometimes to people what that means, and I even have a hard time. Like I don't making everything look like it's the same resolution no matter the scale is texel density. Texel density technically is like taking a measurement in 3D space and having an amount of pixels in that. And no matter what prop is in that three-dimensional space is always the same pixel count. That's texel density. So like you can see here, this is very, very low res, and this is very, very low res, and these are higher res. Getting this to look the same as these, that's texel density. If you can match those all up, you're going to be in a really good spot. Same here. Like these are very low res, especially on the sides inside here. Until people don't notice those, your scenes will always be considered amateur, no matter what. Like, it is very, very important to get away from that look sooner rather than later. I'm trying to drive it home in a friendly way. Yeah. Other than that, I mean, this scene is pretty interesting. There's these large shapes here that are pretty cool. This reminds me of an Unreal scene. Is that Brioche? Thanks, man. Oh yeah, dude, starting to do the sand building up. I think that's sand. Mountain ruins. No, is it snow? Either way, that building up, sand and snow, similar. That's how I'll say it myself. Similar. It is important to get that build up It makes sense of things. And with that snow, making sure that it's on top of things. You can eyeball texel density. We're getting a little bit of questions on texel density now. You can eyeball texel density, but it's usually a good idea to just try and make sure. So in I know in Maya and in 3ds Max they have this, but like if you go to your UVs in Modo, there's a texel density, right? And if you have UVs to this, do this. So I'll just do like a quick unwrap. UV projection, sure. All right, so there's my unwrap. Normalized UVs will make sure that everything scales so that all the UVs are the correct scale to each other. So like this is the ground plane is the exact size that it takes up versus the UVs of these other pieces. Then you can like be like, for every 1 meter I want 1024 pixels, and you just apply. Oh right, I gotta have all these selected. Apply overall, and so now those are all scaled so that they're all texel density to where 1 meter is 1024 pixels, and they're all correct to each other. Now, if you're trying to do that with like getting these all correct and textured on their own, then you're gonna want to do this with like your tileable materials to start with. Oh yeah, Smurf, dude, that's a good link. That's a really good link. Yeah, this is in the scrap box as well. Definitely look at that. Anywho, why is there no snow, or like I'm not seeing snow up here? Like it looks like I'm seeing it in the material, but it's not coming across. Like with how thick and piled up the snow is. This is how badly I need coffee right now. This is bad, guys. Smurf got me snicking, whatever that means. Sick snow equals snicks. maybe that's what I was doing. With how piled up this is, you should be modeling like a clump of snow or a set of a clump of snow. A set of clumps of snow that go on top of these that you can like manually place to kind of get that buildup going on, right? This is pretty interesting. It looks like you, this is totally fine in my opinion. It could use some optimizing, but I mean, you could log those down. Say that 6 times as fast. No. Overall, I mean, your asset creation is pretty good. It's just a matter of like getting snow on top of these to help blend it in with the rest of the scene. Like I know that like, is this edge stuff? Is that snow? Is this all snow? I guess it would be more like an ice. But yeah, cool. Cool. So we only have 5 people to review today for the level art critiques. Or the live art critiques. Holy crap, dude, I am tired, guys. As far as I can see. So I'll do those 5. And then if we have time, I'll start grabbing them from critiques in the Discord. So Butcher, Chaos Blair, and John Shelley? Thank you for the follow, guys. Very much appreciated. All right, I'm gonna transition out, and we're gonna look at your guys' stuff on Discord. Be right back.